Cardinals with Dalton Pence on the Big X Sports Radio. Now, here's your host, Dalton Pence.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome in to this first Mondays with Dalton Pence episode in the month of May. Insert shameless May the 4th be with you cliche statement in. Dalton Pence and Matt Childress taking you up till 7 o'clock tonight. We will have our guy Roman Kelly joining in. Is it by phone call? By
phone call or
Teams
Google
Meet?
Meet, whichever one he just chooses to do, I guess.
Google Meet?
Probably a Google Meet, I would say.
Teams call?
We're just going to have him by carrier pigeon.
He's going to be in the email thread?
Or what he's going to do is he's going to go purchase a macaw and then speak his mind to the macaw, send it to us, and then we'll relay it over air.
Well, if he's lucky, he'll get one thought in before the episode ends, and then you'll be able to discuss the next on tomorrow's Rutherford show. I don't know how long it would take the macaw to fly to the studio and to where he would be recording from, but...
Well, thankfully, that's not actually how he's doing it, so...
Yeah, he's going to call in. Is it 6 o'clock?
Yes.
He's calling in at 6, so we'll have Rome on the program from 6 to 7. No shortage of topics for your Cardinals. The puzzle is almost complete. Just a couple of pieces left to go until we get a final roster. Of course, the huge news over the weekend, the Cardinals land 5-star center Obinna Ekezie Jr. We got to start there, Matt. How is his last name pronounced?
So I asked Mike the same question. He said that, like, from other people around the media and people he heard, that it's Obinna Ekezie is what he's heard. But I thought it was Ekezie as well.
The reason why I say Ekezie, well, the first reason is because when I searched it, that's what popped up. The second reason, there is a video on YouTube, and it's Obinna Ekezie Sr. introducing himself. I think he was doing some church work or whatever, and he's introducing himself, talking about how playing basketball in the United States has, kind of helped the mission that he was starting. But he opened it up. It's like a 30-second clip. He's saying, "Hi, my name is Obinna Ekezie Jr." I mean, I go by, if he says it's Ekezie, then I'm going to say Ekezie.
Well,
until I am proven incorrect. Because one of my pet peeves as a PA announcer is, like, not doing my homework on how to pronounce a name. Like, if there's a name that I even have the slightest doubt, I always seek clarification. Whether it's for the Kings, whether it's for the Cardinals, the Bellarmine Knights, you name it. Like, there's nothing that frustrates me more than getting a name incorrect.
Didn't the same thing happen with Keywan Brown earlier this season? That, like, some people were saying it was Keywan, then people were, like, he himself said it was something else. I forgot what it was. I think Keywan Brown had a similar issue.
I mean, there's been players in the past.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
There's been some players in the past that have said, yeah, people have just said my name wrong forever, and I've just kind of let it go.
Bijan Robinson?
There you go.
Everybody calls him Bijan, but apparently it's just Bijan.
Exactly. So it probably gets to a point to where it's like, I'm just not going to waste any more energy correcting them. But Ekezie, I'm going to go with Ekezie because that's how I heard his dad say it in a video. And if he introduced himself by saying, "Hello, my name is Obinna Ekezie Jr., then that's how I'm going to say it. But 502-414-1450, the Gameday Mens Health text line as we continue the Cardinals program here on the Big X Sports Radio. 502-414-1450 to get any thoughts in about the Obi Ekezie Jr. commitment, what this means for the Cardinals front court. Do we expect him to start? What's his role going to look like? We'll talk about whether or not Louisville is currently a top 10 team. We will kind of break down some of the cliche copium arguments from other fan bases that I've seen over the past couple of days, 24 to 48 hours. We're also going to discuss a couple of potential players, Boyan Zhang and Akai Fleming from Georgia Tech. A lot coming up on today's show, so be sure to get your questions in. Texter says, OEJ. That's fine with me. OEJ. I think Obi, you think that's going to be used as a nickname?
Like just Obi, like Obi Toppin, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen that already from the fan base. I wonder if that sticks.
I think it probably will. Whether he likes it or not, it'll probably come down to that.
OEJ's like I feel like that's just not easy. Like that just doesn't like. Yeah, it's abbreviated, but it's not really easier to say Obina, right? It's like it's not easier to say that than Obina, in my opinion. But anyway. Enough with the pronunciation talk. This is, of course, a huge commitment before he reclassified. Technically, he was the highest-rated commit in program history, I think, beating out Samardo Samuels by like 0.01 or 0.1 for the number one spot. Now, when he reclassified, his rating took a small hit. His ranking also took a hit, but he is the number one center in the 2026 class, which it was obvious that he was going to be. This is not a great center class, and, Matt, it just feels like you can't overstate how I feel like rare it is for this program to get involved super late with the top 5 recruit and then get him to commit and reclassify.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. Like I spoke on this earlier, that it's different than the Michael Brown situation when – you brought him in knowing that this guy is going to be the focal point of this team. He's going to direct the offense. He's going to be a primary, not maybe the primary scorer, but a primary scorer on this team. Without him, you knew that it was going to be rough sledding through the season. You need a Michael Brown. Where the situation with Obina Ekezie is you're bringing him to a roster that is good enough without him, and he's able to play behind arguably the best center in college basketball at the moment. One of the best defenders in college basketball at the moment. So you're not leaning on him too heavily, so it's not like we're bringing him in, putting all this weight on his shoulders, and if he doesn't pan out, then we're just going to hate him, and it's going to be rough, and it's this and that. It's like, oh, Louisville can't get any 5 stars to work out this. He's going to come in a situation where he doesn't need to play like 30-plus minutes a game. He's going to come into a situation he can be comfortable and he can develop as a player, and I think that's what's going to make him successful.
Texter says we can call OBA from WWE, and we can do his walk-up entrance that OBA does. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't watch wrestling. So, Matt, if you know it, like if you watch wrestling, please enlighten me.
I do not. I don't watch it. I watch it like whenever the pay-per-views and stuff are on.
No disrespect and no shame. It's just I never grew up watching wrestling, so I'm not really sure what that means. Like I understand what a walk-up entrance means in WWE, but I don't know what the song is or
I don't know
who OBA is or anything like that.
I'll look it up. I'll find out.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, while you're doing that, though, you mentioned you don't need him to be the guy. It'd be awesome if he is the guy, but you don't need him to be the guy. If you had to rank the current group from top impact with talent involved in the equation, just overall top players, where does Obi land for you?
Can you repeat it one more time?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was looking this up and I was kind of zoned out. So where do I rank him where?
Texter says I think Big O would be a good nickname. I think so as well. Where would you rank him? If you're ranking the top players for next year, so you're taking into consideration the role, the usage, the productivity, but also the overall talent. Where does he rank amongst the current 9 players on the team?
So I think I'm.
Who's who? Okay, so go. Who would be your number one? Is Flory your number one?
I think Flory's my number one.
Okay, so after that,
I'm gonna say in hopefulness probably Jackson Shelstead.
Okay, that's where I would go at number 2.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I think that if he pans out and he ends up developing in the college basketball realm pretty easily as a 5-star athlete, which
Will Hankey.
Yes, Will Hankey, 6'10" Will Hankey. I think Obina could be number 3.
See, that's where
could be.
Well, yeah, because there's a couple players that could be. That's where it gets kind of interesting because after that, there's no surefire. Could Woolley be? Could Montgomery be? Could Fulgaris be? Could Carter Knox be? Yeah, all of them could be. Who's going to be? The only thing that might make me not put him at number 3 could be the role and the production, because I could see a Woolley taking a step forward or Montgomery being a super crucial piece, or same with Carter Knox, to where maybe they're not as talented as Obi, but they're more productive, right? So I think at the very worst, I mean, he's definitely not below number 5. He's 100% a top 5 player on this team.
I think that him probably, I'm going to say he probably will play the 4, unless Fleury's not on the floor at that moment.
Right out the gate, you think he starts at the 4?
I don't know if he starts, but I think he will play the 4. I think he will. I think Flory Badunga's kind of got the 5 locked up. I don't know whether it's him or Fulgaris taking that starting spot. I think we'll see in the offseason who, we feel more comfortable with. But I can definitely see them both playing together, and I think it will be at the 4. I think if we're playing it just off of the fact that, like, let's say today they announce he's playing the 4 spot for this season, I think you could the situation of, the talent we have at the 4 and this and that, you may be able to bump them down a little bit.
Do you not worry about the spacing?
I don't know. I think
those two on the court at the same time?
Not
Just
really.
Genuine question, because that's one of the main concerns with running both Akezie and Badunga at the same time is there's no spacing there at all.
So for me, it's completely dependent on how much of his tape he brings to college basketball. Like, we've seen that in some of his tape that he can stretch the floor a little bit. I don't think I think it's probably at the same level that, like, Frew can. Like, he can shoot, but, like, maybe he doesn't regularly. So maybe if he develops a little bit, like, of a shot and, like, he feels more comfortable with it, like if we put him out there, Pat Kelsey's like, hey, man, in this situation, we need you to spread the floor a little bit. You don't have to shoot at a crazy high clip, but we just, for spacing issues, then I could see that happening. But right now, knowing what I know about him, yes, there would be a spacing issue with that lineup, but I think we can still see it.
I mean, you can't discount the hiring of John Andersek either. Like, this is a page out of the Coach A playbook. Of course, he came from Campbell as the head coach, but famously an assistant on that Florida team that won a national championship, and Walter Clayton will get all of the glory because of the moments that he had in March Madness, but the unsung hero of that team was just the luxury that they had in the front court. I mean, there were times where they ran 2, even 3 guys taller than 6'9" in that front court, something that Michigan did this year as well. Whether it was Chinyelu, Hauk, and Condon, combination of the 2, all 3 of them together, Coach A made it work. He was tasked with working with the front court, working as the team's defensive coordinator, so to speak. This feels like, well, we saw it work at Florida at a very high level. We've got guys that we think can feed off of each other's energy, right? I mean, Obi mentioned that he wanted to play alongside and learn from Flory Badunga. I think that defensively it is 100% reasonable because Flory is versatile and I think could guard the 4, sometimes even the 3. Really, really good defender. And then you have Obi as your rim protector. Well, you have 2 rim protectors on the 4, and that's just a luxury. Offensively, I have to see it in action. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't work. I just have to physically see what it looks like, right? Because it could. It's just a matter of, I think the other players that you have to have on the floor are able to stretch the floor and hit the 3-point shot at a good clip. So, do I think Obi's going to be like a stretch 4, stretch 5 next season? I don't. Because offensively, he's still a little raw. I mean, the potential's through the ceiling. But his productivity next season, I think, is going to be pretty much, not exclusively, but predominantly around the rim. And that's okay because he's really good in the paint, around the rim, above the rim. So there's no doubt they're going to try it. And it very well could be super successful. I just have to see it, man. It's kind of one of those things. 6-foot putt, scramble mode on the green. I got to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be like you said. I'm gonna have to see it. It's gonna have to be on the court. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm never gonna be opposed to getting a 5-star athlete, especially arguably I think he is officially in some websites the number 1 center in that 2026 class right now. I think I saw that earlier, but like I said before, he's getting into a situation where he's, like we said, he's not gonna have to be the guy, so we don't have to rely on him too much. He's a great depth piece, and he's one that's gonna elevate the depth and the bench play on this team, whether he comes off the bench or he starts. He's going to be able to take some minutes off of somebody else's shoulders and give them the assistance they need, and you're not going to have much fall off when he comes on or off the bench.
personal texter has asked, is there any shot that Louisville could get Milan Momcilovic? Well,
Dalton and I could both go out and buy lottery tickets and both win
I'm about
together.
to say that this is multi-layered. Like right away, I want to tell you no, but I guess it would depend on two things. Number one, is he set on coming back to school? Because the overwhelming majority belief is that he's going to stay in the NBA draft. Well, let's play the hypothetical that he does return to school. Do you have the money that it's going to be asked to land him? I mean, that's got to be... Because here's the thing. You can't trust all the numbers you read out there, but the guy wouldn't be joining for a pay cut. Like, you would be paying him probably the same money, maybe more than you would have paid John Blackwell or potentially Juke Harris. Like, you would be spending a lot of money. So, I mean, here's how I'm operating with Milan Momcilovic, because I know that there's a good portion of the fan base that saw the reports, the quote-unquote reports out there that said, oh, well, Louisville has been in contact or whatever. I'm not really buying anything until I see it from a national source. Like I know everyone's kind of dunking on 3 at the moment, but if On 3 or 24/7 Sports put out a report right now that said Louisville's been in contacts with the reps of Milan Momcilovic, then we have a different discussion. But until then, I'm not really putting much stock into producer Matt.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Great fit, though. I mean, my goodness, the guy would be a super incredible fit, but just it feels like one of those, like, you put...
The issue with him is his ceiling isn't getting any higher.
I don't care about the ceiling.
I'm talking like if he wants to go to the NBA.
Yeah, but this is also maybe a draft where this is a generational type of draft. Like, next year's draft is supposed to be weak to where maybe with another season of, like, elite level college shooting. And that could be something that works to, like, the other aspect of this argument is, like, if his ceiling isn't getting any higher, why not get paid a boatload next year, which is probably going to be more than your NBA contract, 75% of it, because I haven't even seen where he's projected to get drafted in most mocks. So why would you, at this point, why would you not come back?
What did he shoot, like 48% from 3 this season?
47.8.
Yeah, extremely high volume. Like, is he ever going to possibly shoot better than that?
But it does, like, I've seen that case. It's like, oh, well, he might regress. Truthfully, it's probable that he's going to. But his regression, the guy's never shot below 37% from 3. So his regression's probably at about 40%. And if you're telling me you have a guy who can shoot 40% on volume shooting at the Power 5 level, sign me up. Now, is he worth the $5+ million? I mean, I guess it just depends on how much you value elite level shooting.
It just, like I said, I would love to have him
it just doesn't seem probable.
If we got a text right now that said, hey, you guys are idiots, he's going to take a visit, I'm jumping up and down.
Well, yeah, he's a difference maker.
But at the same, I'm just not going to put any stock into it.
You can't, hold on to the hope that Louisville's going to get involved. I wouldn't really pay attention until you see something otherwise, right?
I mean, I would imagine they've probably called his agent.
Well, yeah,
but I wouldn't say.
It does make you wonder. It does make you wonder, right? I mean, if they were willing to pay John Blackwell and potentially go after both Obi and Juke Harris, now that you landed Obi, how much money do you have left? That doesn't mean you have to go out and get a player like Milan, though. I think that there's a couple other really good three-point shooting options. Unfortunately, one went back to NC State, but Abdi Bashir, man, if you told me I could tell you who the next commitment's going to be, Bashir would be option 1A for me. I am a huge fan of Abdi Bashir, Matt.
I honestly haven't seen much of him, so I don't have much of a take on him. Texter
said something, then emphasized the message. Who is the first player to get the gold jersey this offseason?
Oh, yeah, this person asked Mike this question.
Did Mike answer it?
His answer was like, we don't really know. Mike believes that it won't be Adrian Woolley because of favoritism stuff.
Gold jersey, isn't that like a teammate awarded? Like, what's the criteria there again?
I mean, I actually don't know who assigns it, whether it's Pat Kelsey or if it's an assistant or if it's like teammate voted. But I mean, I do know that it's like the hardest working practice player, I believe, and this and that, and who's had the most development that week or something like that.
Somebody's going to have to explain it in the comments as the text line just crashed on my end.
I think he said that it wouldn't surprise him if it was Carter Knox.
I mean, if it's a matter of like effort and putting in that work, I think Badunga gets the first gold jersey.
I can see that.
I think that's the way I would go. I would say Badunga.
I feel like it's a really interesting roster because I feel like everybody on this roster, besides Flory Badunga, is kind of on the same level of we don't really know what to expect just yet. Like, we know that the team it should be good and has the talent, has the ability to be great, but we don't know who's going to be, like you said, the guy yet. So, like, we don't know. Like, I could sit here and give you an argument that Fulgaris could get the first gold jersey because of how he played in the tournament. I mean, like, he's going to have more effort.
The gold jersey, I don't think necessarily signals who the best player is.
Well, yeah, I just meant, like, we don't know who's going to come in and have the most drive. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have like when we said like last season, I figured
who was it last year?
I don't remember who had the first one, but like I would have.
Was it Zoo?
Maybe
might have been Zoo.
But if you would have done an argument like it's going to be Ryan Conwell, I'd be like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you can make a case for anybody. I don't think anybody.
I think that everybody's on a level playing field right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be Badunga, or
I'm going to say it's Fulgaris.
Interesting.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
Okay, fair enough.
I think he has something to prove with bringing in Obi.
I mean, yeah, but no. I mean, they're two different types of players. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention, and one other reason why I'm confident that pairing Badunga with another center in the front court could work, is because Badunga has a lot of experience the past 2 years playing in a taller front court that doesn't necessarily have a ton of spacing. Like, there is some spacing, but like last year he played alongside Bryson Tiller, who started. Tiller's 6'9". He's not necessarily I don't think he's a stretch four. I think he's more of a face-up four. Plays better with his back to the basket around the paint as a slasher. But the year before that, Badunga, he didn't start games this way, but he played the 4 with Hunter Dickinson at the 5. So, of course, Hunter could stretch the 4 and hit shots, but most of his usage was around the basket. And Badunga was able to feed off of that energy and be really good from an offensive rebounding standpoint. Well, now Badunga kind of replaces Hunter Dickinson in this hypothetical. And if Obi Ekezie can be that high-energy, clean up on the glass, protect the rim type player, like Hunter Dickinson wasn't really a great defender. I think that but of course, Hunter was much more of a polished offensive player. But just the fact that he's had experience playing a lot of minutes alongside players as tall, if not taller than him, it just leads me to believe that this thing is going to work. Now, whether or not that is a starting lineup, I don't think so. I think Fulgaris starts. But you're going to see a lot of combinations where Obi plays the 4 and Fulgaris plays the 5. Or Flory at the 4 and Obi at the 5. Or Fulgaris at the 2, Obi at the 3, Flory at the 4, and Dines at the 5. You imagine that? What a roster.
My predicted starting lineup was Shelstead, Woolley, Fulgaris, Obi, and Flory.
That'd be insane. And honestly, call me crazy.
It'd work.
That might work depending on who you're playing.
But like that would come down to what you said, like the spacing issue.
Yeah, your guards would have to be shooting the ball really well. And, I mean, Fulgaris would have to take his game to the next level, and he'd have to really be a good three-point shooter. But if you're
If you can make that work,
if
you'd
your
be
1
terrifying.
through 3 could shoot, I'm telling you it's possible. Because Florida basically has done that with Houck, Chinyalu, and Condon. So, my gosh. I don't even want to think about that. That'd be incredible. But it's such a 180, right? Such a 180 from what we've seen from Pat Kelsey's team the first 2 seasons. But, gosh, I mean, this is it's such a luxury. Like, we go from, you every once in a while you get a blue chip type prospect at Louisville. But for Pat Kelsey to land 2 top 10 players before his 3rd season even happens, and one of those players is, before the reclass, the top rated commitment in program history. Like, 2 of his commitments are like top 4 all time. That's insane. And we're sitting here talking about this player coming off the bench because you don't have to have him be Superman right away. That's such a luxury to have. But I want to have a different conversation here in just a moment. And that's whether or not Louisville is a surefire top 10 team going into next season as the roster currently stands. We'll break it down. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned in to Mondays with Dalton Pence here on the Big X Sports Radio. that reference at all?
I was getting Roman on the phone. I wasn't even listening. I'm sorry.
Come on, Matt. You know that. Lamar, interview.
Well, actually, I don't know what you're talking about now. I'm confused.
Rome, are you recording on speakerphone?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Looking for my headset microphone here.
I can hear you, but I think we can hear us.
Oh, you can hear yourselves as well?
I can. It's like an echo chamber.
Is that better?
Testing. No, yeah, that's much better. What's up, superstar?
Nothing much. Preparing up for evening here of NBA tonight. Ready to talk a little bit of Cards committing to the team and what that looks like for us. And to get into ours. We got a fun little story to maybe get into from the Derby weekend as well.
Matt, is he recording remote because he's pre-gaming for the NBA games?
Possibly.
That's dedication. I got to be honest with you. Dude took the Lakers win to heart, didn't he?
This McCall is a little fuzzy. I'm just gonna be honest.
No, Rome. We're starting out the segment talking about the idea that Louisville, even though they added Obi Ekezie, potentially, according to some, might still not be a top 10 team.
I can understand why you may feel that way with how many transfer portal pieces coming in, but when you look at the talent that's been brought in, it's hard to feel like there's 10 better teams, 10 better rosters right now.
They're a top 10 team. Let's just get that out of the way. They're 100% a top 10 team at this point. Unless I'm just completely off here, but I think it's pretty obvious they're top 10. Matt?
I think they're there. I think that I think Roman and I actually had this discussion last week before Obina had committed that I feel like they were like one piece short. They were around like the 12 to 13 range, but I think grabbing 5-star Obina Ekezie, I think that puts you in the top 10 conversation.
So I'm going to read you Ross Stein's top 10 currently. Number 1, Florida. Number 2, Illinois. Number 3, Duke. Number 4, Michigan. Like, those 4 teams, okay. That's fine. Okay, whatever. Number 5, UConn. Sure. Number 6, Arizona. Number 7, Michigan State. Number 8, Gonzaga. Number 9, Virginia. And number 10, Texas. No. I don't think that...
We're really putting Texas in top 10.
Here's the thing. Texas has had a really good... They've had a really good offseason.
They have.
But Gonzaga, no. Michigan State at the moment, no. Virginia, still. I don't know. It feels like Louisville should be in the top 10. If you don't want to say they're top 5, okay, that's fine. I have my doubts on whether or not they're a top 5 team as well. I don't think they are currently. But not top 10. I don't know, man.
Do they not know we have Will Hankey coming off the bench?
You said what, Rome?
It definitely seems like a top 10 roster to me when you look at this point. There's truly no weaknesses now. Maybe not a true 3-point specialist type of a threat, but there's no weaknesses on this roster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is either. Look, I mean, you can say, well, you need more 3-point shooting or you need another ball handler, but that's just kind of look, there's never going to be a perfect roster. There's always going to be some things that you can add to, that you can improve, you can add more of, but there's not a glaring weakness on this team. At least in my opinion. I look at this team up top to bottom. There's 9 players now. They're not done adding pieces. If they do add another, I don't think they're going to add another splash or like true difference maker, but a really good rotational guard that could be a 3-point specialist or could be a solid backup 1 or 2. I mean, I think you are pretty clearly a top 10 team at this point. And Jeff Goodman said it. Speaking of Jeff Goodman, who do you think he was talking about? Did you see that clip where he's saying that they might add another difference maker very soon?
Somebody mentioned it to me. I didn't see the actual clip.
So I'm paraphrasing here, but he was basically like they're going to add another impact player here potentially very soon. Surely he's not talking about Boyan Zhang, is he? Who, for those who don't know, is the top 50 recruit in the 2026 class. He's one of the highest rated uncommitted players in the high school class. And this is no disrespect to him, but you're talking about an impact player next year where Zhang, I think, is a developmental piece.
Mike, so this question got brought up here on Mike's show, and he said that he believes that it would. He didn't have any names to give out or anything, but he believes it would have been an overseas player.
That's exactly what I was about to say as well, fellas.
Is that some scoop, Rome?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know who. I've seen a couple of names. I don't know.
I don't know if it's the official scoop, which is why I didn't bring it up on the run-in show. I didn't initiate trying to throw that around on the Louisville base, but I think that is something they would potentially look into, yes.
But yeah, I mean, that they're always going to do their due diligence with international recruiting, but I don't know of any possible names out there. Because Zhang isn't, he's from China, but he technically, I don't think he's technically considered an international recruit because he's in the United States and California.
Official recruiting rankings, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the official recruiting rankings. So I don't think some international players are put in the recruiting rankings sometimes. But I don't think that's who Goodman's talking about, though.
Yeah, I feel like if Mike was talking about him, he wouldn't have said international. He would have phrased it differently.
Like there's somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be picking at hair saying that Zhang is international.
Probably right.
I'm looking up the top international recruits for this cycle. It's hard to there's no guaranteed rankings, right? I mean, there's the guy who committed to Duke. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Joachim, is it Bumpje?
I've seen it. I have no idea. Your best guess is mine.
Okay, so here's the top. Well, I mean, the top 6 international guys on this list are committed elsewhere, already committed. So, no help there. See, that would make sense, though, because usually with international recruiting, you don't really hear about things until they're pretty far along, unless they're, high-caliber players like Quinn Ellis.
I mean, John Anderschek also does have the European ties with recruiting, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's what we're looking towards.
I mean, so did Brian Coleman, though. I mean,
but we haven't brought any European players in just yet. So, it would if we're finishing that off with somebody international, it wouldn't surprise me because of
who was the guy? I saw something where who was the former NBA draft pick that somebody said was potentially looking to play in college?
No clue.
International guy. Oh, what is his name? Mojave King. So Armand Jovic, PDT Scouting on Twitter, really good at following, or I'm sorry, really good at international recruiting scoop and does a good job of keeping everyone informed in that realm. He had a tweet last week that said New Zealand guard Mojave King, the 47th overall pick in the 2023 draft, is exploring his options to play college basketball next season. So
2023, this guy's unk at this point.
I don't think he's played in college at this point. Not college, I'm sorry, the NBA.
2023 might be time to get a job.
I'm looking at this.
Time to get on his LinkedIn, buddy.
So no,
update that resume.
So he got drafted, but he never played in the NBA. He played in the New Zealand League before playing in the Greek League this year.
I thought that once you're drafted, that's it. If you actually get drafted,
no, because
your
remember
eligibility's gone.
James Najee, the guy who played for Baylor this year, he got drafted early second round, but never played a single NBA minute.
This is getting a lot really confusing for me.
If you don't sign the official two-way contract and you don't play a single minute, then you're officially technically good to go.
Okay.
So Mojave King might be one name that makes sense. There's another dude that, there's another guy that had gotten mentioned. He's supposedly like the number one international player. I think is it like, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's a wing. I know that doesn't help you out much.
I have literally no idea where you're going with this.
I'm sorry.
You're not getting. He's a wing and he's international. Okay.
Does that narrow it down?
Yeah, very, very easily.
I think I may know who you're talking about.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I guess I probably need to.
You guys got more information on this front than I do.
Anyway, while I'm looking this up, you all tell me, do you think that this addition that Goodman is alluding to, do you think it's a portal player or do you think it is an international guy?
Roman?
I think that at this point, I think they're going to be in the market for another guard or two, right? And I think that the market for guards in the portal is expensive for players that you're not expecting to be extremely, impactful players in your rotation. I think that they want to maybe go and take that European route if they can at the PG spot or a guard spot, combo guard kind of a spot. I think it's a Euro prospect. I know just about a month ago there was talk on the potential European prospect they were in on, maybe a couple, so not to mention Quinn Ellis. So I think that's I have no inside information that would lead me to feel any way, but I do think that they're going to lean that out.
I mean, if you are willing to try to get involved in the Juke Harris sweepstakes, then you obviously still have some money to use. There was a report last week that Louisville is reaching out to Akai Fleming from Georgia Tech, who probably has a decent list of suitors after averaging 11 last year as a true freshman. So it could be an international guy. The thing with international recruiting, however, is you usually have an idea. Like, you hear something usually before, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's days of a buildup before a commit happens. International, it would make sense because of how quickly it can happen. Okay, this guy's name, Stefan Joksimovic, the wing from Slovenia. That's who I was alluding to, and I couldn't remember his name. That was the name. So
let me look into this here.
Did your scoop involve a name, Rome? Are you withholding a name?
No, it didn't.
I was about to say, this guy's keeping his information tight, huh?
He just did the Dalton Pence. He was just like, it's international and he's a wing. That's what his scoop was.
Well, that narrows it down, Matt. Now you only have maybe 20,000 players to look.
Is Luka Doncic coming back to college basketball?
Yeah. No, I think that it's pretty interesting to think about who this could be, but you haven't heard anything about potential visits. It feels like, the puzzle's almost complete. They're 1 to 2 players away, depending on who you can land. I feel like at this point, they probably have a couple of guys that they've circled, said, you know what, we'll go after this player. Whoever wants to commit first, the spot is yours. Like, you're going to get paid. The only caveat is you don't have a guaranteed starting spot. Like, you're going to play, but you're going to have to fight for your role and fight for your minutes. And you're going to get paid while doing so. So that's a little bit where the challenge lies. Is like, it's easier said than done trying to recruit a player to be the 10th man on your roster and like a backup, unless it's a 2 and you can say, hey, look, you can compete for that starting 2-guard spot because nothing is set in stone. I think the only 2 players that are set in stone starters at the moment, actually probably 3. I think Shellstad, Knox, and Badunga are penciled in starters for next year.
You think Knox is locked in?
He started 2 seasons at Arkansas, man. I can't imagine that he takes a demotion, so to speak, in terms of role. Like, you didn't bring him here to be a bench piece, in my opinion.
You don't think his injury kind of might hinder that a little bit?
I mean, maybe, but he's still getting paid a good amount. I mean, you're paying him good money. So there's a reason why you're bringing him in.
Yeah, I think barring injury, he starts the season as a starter for sure. I think that same with Shellstad, barring injury, there's no reason for him obviously to not be penciled in. I think as things stand, you could probably pencil in for Garrett, but obviously still subject to change with the additions that you may have. You never know. Or with the overall philosophy of how you want to use the front court, potentially. I still think for Garrett is your best player at that spot.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me because I do think if there is a chance that they could start Obi at the 4, I think they will if it makes sense, but I'm not sure that they will right out of the gate. But a major question I want to answer now is, well, how much money is Louisville spending on this roster? I'll tell you what it's not when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into Mondays with Dalton Pence here on the Big X Sports Radio. It's down 2 segments to go here on this May 4th edition of Mondays with Dalton Pence here on the Big X Sports Radio, 502-414-1450. That Gameday Men's Health text line to get any thoughts in about where this roster currently stands and how much Louisville is paying for this roster. Wrong answers only. Okay, I'm going to ask you both something. If there is one fan base that won't know how much Louisville's paying for their roster, what fan base would that be?
Kentucky.
Huh. Are you sure? Because apparently KSR knows more than Louisville fans do.
Look, okay, the argument that I keep seeing all the time is like, oh, they're doing the same thing Mark Pope did, and this and that, isn't it? Look, that argument is the same thing as you being like, hey, guys, look how we screwed up. Ha ha, we're stupid, we're dumb. Don't make the same mistake. Like, my fault Mark Pope can't recruit us three for his basketball team, okay?
Look, at the end of the day, I don't fault UK for spending that money last year. Like, maybe hot take, I faulted the way that they spent it. Not that they spent it. It was the way that they spent it. Because I admire the fact that their boosters, their donors came together and they spent the money. If you got it, spend it. No shame. But now this idea, and it's not just Kentucky fans, it's a couple of other fan bases that are like, well, how much does Louisville got? They better win. Duh. Isn't that the whole point of college sports? Like, everyone is being tasked with, well, they better win. But this idea that only, like, it's like, oh, well, it's okay if you spend a lot of money, but when Louisville does it, well, hold on, guys. Hold the phone. Like, where is this, like, this double standard coming from, man? But, Field of 68 today, take it for what you will, they had Sean Miller, the Texas head coach, on the show. And he was asked, how many $20+ million rosters are there in college basketball this offseason? His answer, have you all seen this first?
No, I have not.
Take a guess on how many he said.
I've literally... Rome, you got one? 3? I'll say 4.
Quote unquote, educated guess. Sometimes you don't have all the information. I would say 20 to 25. 20 to 25. That's how many programs that Sean Miller, a sitting head coach in the SEC, that's how many rosters he believes are making $20+ million collectively. Do I believe that number? I don't. I think it's lower than that. But even if you cut it in half, let's say it's 50% right, and there's 10 teams paying $20+ million. This idea that, like, record amounts...
You can't win a championship.
That's what I'm saying is, like, this idea is like, okay, wow, Louisville's spending a lot of money. That's how you win. Duh. Why would you not? Is the alternative, oh, well, they shouldn't spend any money and still expect to win? No. You got to pay.
It's like Michigan spent a lot of money last year.
No, they didn't spend. They actually.
Illinois spent a lot of money last year.
Yaxel Lindenberg actually walked on in Michigan, believe it or not. He didn't make any money.
They spent a measly $10 million for that roster.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. Yaxel himself probably cost almost half that. So that's one thing is like I see this. Oh, it's coping is what it is, guys. It's like, oh well, Louisville's spending a lot of money. They better win. Isn't that a given though? Like a month ago, we had an episode of the show where we talked about everything that needed to happen in the offseason. We recapped year 2, basically saying that even though they won a tournament game, finishing in the round of 32, that's not up to the standard. Pat Kelsey said it himself after the season. Year 3, regardless of what you do with your roster, year 3, the expectation is to build a contender at Louisville. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
But that's the expectation at Louisville, Dalton. Like, money shouldn't change that here.
Exactly.
We're the most prestigious school to not go to a Sweet 16 in the last decade. Of course, the main objective is to get back to being the best.
Yeah, and the way you do that now is you got to spend money. You got to spend money.
If you're not spending near the most, you don't have a good chance.
I mean, look at the top teams. There's kind of a clear top group right now. Duke, I guess Duke doesn't spend top money. They surely don't. I mean, they've got 5 stars that are fighting for bench minutes.
No, they're going there for a great education.
And the brotherhood.
Of course.
UConn isn't spending a lot of money. Michigan surely isn't. Illinois, no shot. All those guys coming back, they're coming back for the love of the game, not to get paid. It's frustrating, man. And I don't like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what other fan bases say. But for the sake of radio, we're going to call out the hypocrisy.
Look, they're angry at Mark Pope, and Mark Pope hasn't whiffed on a big time.
It's not just Kentucky fans, though.
I know, but I'm just saying the Kentucky fans are angry about Mark Pope. He hasn't whiffed on a big time recruit in about three to 4 business days. So they have to out their anger somewhere else. So they just make up whatever they want, say whatever they want, and they can be jealous.
What do you think about this take that, Louisville's basically pulling a Kentucky from last offseason? They're spending money, but the pieces don't fit. And I just think it's hilarious. It's like, man, just 12 months ago, everyone was trying to crown Kentucky winning number 9. I was like, man, I just don't see it with this roster.
Mark Pope is literally trying to get Jamal Crawford on staff just to bring Tyron Stokes in as a last-ditch effort. Okay, like they are doing everything they can just to bring in anyone. Okay, like this roster, yeah, there are a couple pieces that I think, okay, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys work together because they come from a couple different walks of life. But at the end of the day, all of these, like when we saw Jackson Shelstad, Flory Badunga, Carter Knox, Adrian Woolley, all these guys, these are all guys who love to get out and run, play fast, they like to score. You know, you can tell that Flory Badunga and Carter Knox a little bit more on the defensive side than the other two. Like, so it's going to be interesting how we work. But Pat Kelsey brought in a staff that shows philosophical changes. They brought in players that shows philosophical changes. You're making all these adjustments to cater to the weaknesses you had last season.
Doesn't fit, Matt. Sorry.
What has Mark Pope done in this transfer portal that caters to the weaknesses?
I don't think it's about this window. I think it's one of the coping mechanisms is saying, well, sure, Louisville is one of the off-season winners. They've got the number 1 portal class, but we also said the same thing about Kentucky last year, and Louisville's going to fall victim to that. That's the take here. It has nothing to do with what Kentucky's doing right now. It's that, you spent a lot of money, but you spent it on role players.
I made this statement during the Mike Rutherford show earlier because this got brought up. And I said that the main difference between these two situations is, one, this year, everybody in the country, like you said, is talking about how much money Louisville is spending. But nothing has gotten out. There's no actual word of what Louisville has spent. We all imagine
the only numbers have been floated out by KSR.
Yes.
By the way,
we imagine the numbers high because of who they have, and we understand that. Last season, we saw what Kentucky's roster was. You knew they spent something, but then it leaked out, and you said this roster is $22 million.
And what's crazy is that Kentucky fans pushed back on that immediately. They're like, it's actually not $22 million. You can't believe everything you read, and here they are running with, I don't know what intel they're running with here. This roster is already blowing Kentucky's monetary commitment last year out of the water. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. Yes, they're paying.
I think Roman hung up.
I was about to say, I was like, my goodness.
Either that or the call just dropped. I just hung it up.
I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that we don't know how much they're paying. It's going to be a good amount. Well, don't kid yourself. They're paying a lot of money for this team, as they should. As they should.
That is where college sports are going.
Is it more than Kentucky last season at $22 million was the rumored number? I don't believe it yet. I don't. I'm sorry, Matt. I just don't. I think you paid high dollar for a guy like Flory Badunga and some other players, but I don't think that a couple of these players, there was a rumor out there that Obi Ekezie is getting $7 million. Stop it. No, he's not. I would be shocked if he's getting half of that next year. $7 million? No. I'd be shocked.
I thought we were already rumored to be in that 15 to 18 million range.
Overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that if that's what you tell me Louisville's at, that's fine. I was just saying that I don't think they're at $22 million right now. I don't think they're at where Kentucky was rumored to be at last year at the current moment. And some people are saying, well, Louisville's at $30 million. Next, it's going to be $40 million.
Our football team needs like 60 guys on roster. We're not at $30 million. Like, we're not. That is outrageous.
Moral of the story, the numbers that are often floated out there are wrong. And back to another thing that we were talking about, the way that this roster is constructed, guys, I mean, call me biased. Of course I am. Don't get me wrong. This team fits well together. You can make the point that they're missing a couple things. Like, do they need a three-point specialist? You could argue it. Do they need a number one?
You could even
scorer?
make the point that this is a Pat Kelsey type of guys.
Yeah.
All of them speaking.
You could make that case. But the thing about it is, when you look at this roster top to bottom, I don't know how you can say it doesn't fit at all. I think it fits rather cohesively. You've got defense. You've got athleticism. You've got size and physicality in the front court, three things you did not have last year.
The whole team is things you didn't have last year.
You have a really good guard from the Big Ten who can be that Chucky Hepburn, Ryan Conwell-esque creator. Yes, you do need Adrian Woolley to take a step forward, but he fits what you want, right? You've got Deshane Montgomery, who's a 14 points per game scorer at Dayton, who's a really good on-ball defender. You've got athleticism, defense, and pretty solid three-point shooting throughout the roster. What are you like? How does this not fit? Like, what doesn't fit about this roster? Even to the point in the front court. You've got Badunga at the 5 and Akezie backing him up. Fulgaris is a great compliment to both of those players because he can stretch the floor and create for others at the top of the key. I don't get it at all. Like, it just feels like...
No, Dalton, you're forgetting. This group of guys isn't going to be able to shoot 35 three-pointers a game, so this isn't a good roster.
Isn't a characteristic of a great coach watching what's not working and making some changes?
Exactly. Making the adjustments that fix the weaknesses that you have in your philosophy.
Matt, where's Rome recording this from? Wrong answers only. Are you in the Dizzy Wiz parking lot?
I think he's actually on tour with Free right now, back in the BBL.
I'm on my podcast setup. I'm using the Beats microphone here. I don't know how well it works.
The Beats microphone?
Recorded mic.
Beats has a microphone now?
No, the built-in microphone.
Oh, okay. It could also just be the station audio as well. That's probably honestly what it is. But, I mean, you're right, Rome. I mean, you've got to make some changes. Honestly, I would be a little bit frustrated if the roster looked like, I wouldn't be a little bit frustrated. I'd be very frustrated if the team that Pat Kelsey put together was very similar to last season's. It was very guard heavy.
Okay, everybody really frustrated.
You're worrying about the front court. You're worrying about the perimeter. You're worrying about the defense. I don't think you're overcorrecting the issues either because, I mean, a lot of these guys shoot in the mid to high 30s from three. This isn't a bad three-point shooting team. Now, do they have an elite shooter at the moment? No. Or at least I don't think they do. But could you add one? There's a couple guys out there. I think that Pat Kelsey has aced the offseason, in my opinion. What more could you have asked for at this point? Oh, well, the wins and the losses. Yes, that is the only thing that matters. But Nick Coffey said it the best. Basically, it was like, well, you only have 4 months to prove that. What are you supposed to do the rest of the 8 months? I think another part of being a head coach, now, of course, wins and losses are what matters the most, but you've got to win those recruiting battles. You've also got to sell a vision and get your fan base to buy into. There's something else that Louisville's got right now that's not getting the credit it deserves, but it is the number one leader to how successful they've been. It is the number one reason why this program is in the spot that it's in going into next season, spending this money, building this program back up. One thing that gets overlooked in college sports, and it is the most important thing for a university and for an athletics department. I'll tell you what that is coming up on the other side of this break. One segment to go here on this edition of Mondays with Dalton Pence. We'll talk to you here in just a moment here on the Big X Sports Radio. 6:41 here on the first Monday of May. Thanks for tuning in up to this point in the program of the Mondays with Dalton Pence. First episode of the month of May here on the Big X Sports Radio. Dalton, Roman, and Matt taking you up here till about 7 o'clock tonight. We talked about the Obinna Ekezie Jr. commitment, what it means for the front court. We've talked about some of the responses to what Louisville's doing this offseason. We've talked about whether or not they're a top 10 team. But what isn't being talked about enough is the number one driving force behind the Cardinals offseason. And I think a lot of this is Pat Kelsey being a great salesman. He's able to sell the vision of his program. Say, well, how is he getting some of these players when other teams can pay a lot and he doesn't have the tournament success to point to, or maybe even sending a ton of players to the NBA draft like other coaches can? Well, that's where you have to be a salesman. That's sales 101. How do you offer value? How do you offer differentiation? And Pat Kelsey's able to do that. But something that gets overlooked. Can either of you gentlemen take a guess as to what I'm alluding to is the most important thing that a college athletics department can have with basketball and football?
Money.
Outside of the money. Okay, yeah, you have to have the money first. But that's a given. The unsung hero, if you will, outside of money.
A motivator?
Rome?
Your coaches.
You're both not wrong. The term is alignment. Alignment is so critical within your athletics department, and it gets overlooked often because you often don't see it. Alignment is behind the scenes, but it's the vehicle that makes this thing go. It's the coaching staff being aligned with the donors, being aligned with the athletics department, and that looks different in a couple ways, right? It's different in terms of, well, hey, this is how much money we've got. This is how much money we can get if we need it. This is the leadership and the powers that be up top understanding the plan that you have. Dan Furman's been on the show twice now, and he's mentioned all the time this calculated approach that the universities had. They're basically running this like a pro organization because you have to. That's basically what this is. College sports are pro sports at this point. There's alignment top to bottom, from the money to the leadership to the coaching staff. Everyone is step for step in line with one another. So that leads to a clear budget, a clear idea of how they're going to tackle the portal, and they've executed on their plan. I just think that gets overlooked, guys. Maybe that's getting like too deep in conversation, but you can't overlook or overstate how important having that alignment is. Like, I know about the issues between Braum and Hurd, or the rumored issues between those two. I get it. Thankfully, it seems like they've worked some things out. The basketball side, seems like everybody is sort of on the same page as to what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how I remember back in my day, in the glory days, you know, the coaches and the assistants and the camaraderie between the staff and the facilities and all that stuff used to matter. And it seems like, in Louisville sense, it still does. I mean, when you brought on last Monday, when you brought on Dan Furman, I asked him the question directly. I was like, hey, Dan, like, I got to be honest with you. Pat Kelsey doesn't have the accolades that some of these guys that he's competing against, these players, have. What is he doing besides, you know, having a hefty pocket, a deep pocket? What's he doing? And he's like, he's just selling these guys. Like, he is a motivator. He is a coach. He's a great coach. He's a great speaker. He brings these guys in. He makes them want to play here, and he makes all of us want to work harder. Like, that's what Pat Kelsey does, and it's infectious throughout the staff. That's what I want as my head coach.
Personal texter says, does this need to be a Final Four or bust season, expectation-wise? Rome?
No. Rome?
I don't want to say Final Four or bust season.
That's tough, man. It has to be. Would you go Elite Eight? Like, if the question was Elite Eight or bust?
Yeah. I'd
go Elite Eight.
I think when you get to the Elite Eight, you're meeting the expectation for what your roster wants. And then anything can be matchup based when you get to that point in the tournament.
It's Elite Eight or bust. If you lose in the Elite Eight, that
a lot of things need to go well for you in today's era of college basketball for you to make a final.
Exactly.
But if you don't,
it goes back to that alignment you were just mentioning, Dalton.
I
will be disappointed if we lose in the Elite Eight. I will also sit there and be ecstatic about the.
Well, yeah, if you lose in the Elite Eight, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it is a big deal, but it's not going to oh my gosh, we have to get rid of Pat Kelsey right now. But I do think that there is some added pressure to what you've done with the roster. If you don't make it out of the first weekend, I don't even want to think about having that conversation. That's a tough conversation you would have to have. Because, yes, this offseason's great, but it does, I think, add a little bit of pressure. I don't think it's Final Four or bust type pressure. But, yeah, you've got to make it to the second weekend at the very, very worst.
I think that these changes he's made and this roster he's built and the staff.
It's like he understands that as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that he understands that what the pressure is, and he's saying, look, I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm not going to I'm not going to keep doing the same things over and over again and just continue to fail because I don't have the time here. I think that if he makes a Sweet 16 with this roster, even if that's kind of a disappointment based on how they play this season, he still gets another year. He'll still be back. I think we don't have to worry about that. But the thing is, I think that he personally understands the heat he's under, and I think he understands the pressure he's under. And so far, I think he's stepped up to the plate and hit a home run at this point. Now, anything can change when the season starts, but if you're disappointed in what Pat Kelsey has done so far in this, off-season / 2026-2027 season cycle, then I just don't know how to please you at this moment.
Yeah, it's good to have high expectations, and like I said, to be a contender, sometimes contenders lose early on. I also think it depends on how the regular season goes as well. If you make it to the Sweet 16 next season, but you're still getting embarrassed against the top teams on your schedule, got to have a conversation. But if you make it to the Sweet 16 or, truthfully, the Elite Eight, and you're obviously one of the top 10 teams in the country, and then you just lose in the Elite Eight, right, to a good team because that's who you'd be playing, I'm not really I'm going to celebrate that as a success, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's tough to make the Elite Eight, man.
We haven't been to the Sweet 16 since, 2015?
15, yep.
I get that's what you need. You need to get back to a second weekend. But I just feel like it's crazy for us to just throw some of these things out, like Final Four or bust, and just run with it.
Final Four is tough. Final Four or bust is one of those to where you've clearly built a dynasty, and you're making the Final Four every year.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen.
And like I said, making a Final Four in the modern era, it's not just on your roster anymore. You need so many things to go right because it's so competitive in the NCAA tournament now. It's not like...
Well, it's only going to get more competitive now when you add, 7 more bubble teams?
Yeah, true. But it's not like 2012, 2013, where you made a Final Four, retain the same roster, so you can say, this team should make another Final Four. They're that good again. You can't say that anymore. You just can't. Teams are reloading every single season. You're reloading every single season. Players are moving all over the place. You need a lot of things to go your way to make a Final Four. So I agree with you guys. I think Elite Eight is where I'm drawing the line at.
Let's say this for the sake of conversation. Let's say that Louisville adds 2 more players. One of them is Boyan Zhang. The other one is, let's say, a rotational guard / wing combo.
So what you're saying is they're adding Boyan Zhang right now. It's happening. You're just saying it's, guys. That's what Dalton Pence is saying. It's right now. It's on air.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I would be awesome, truthfully. But let's say that that's the way they fill their roster out. They've got 11 solid players. You know what they have at all positions. What is 100% can't happen. And what is the lowest that Louisville can finish in terms of tournament finish, and you're I can live with it.
they add those 2 players, lowest I would accept would be 4 seed.
I mean, like the finish.
I was thinking, okay. On the finish?
Like season record?
No. Like, what round do you lose?
Oh, okay. They have the 2 players. If you make
an Elite 8 minimum team.
I think it's Elite 8 or bust.
If you make a Sweet 16, it's against a really good team and it's really close, then I can argue it. But I'm on the Elite 8.
I mean, because that's what comes with when you do spend a lot of money. If you're spending, well, here's the thing: if you're spending top 10 money, you should have a top 10 team. It's that simple to me. I know that there are some added factors, but the math is mathing. You spend top 10 money on your roster, the ROI, you should have a top 10 team. That's pretty non-negotiable for me. I understand injuries happen, stuff like that, but it's the same thing with MLB that doesn't have a salary cap, right? If you're spending top 10 money, you better have a top 10 team. If you're an NBA team that's paying the second threshold luxury tax, you best have a damn good team, or the money's not going to justify it. It's not going to be justified for the money. So, Texter says, I don't know why so many people are texting my personal phone right now, and not the Gameday Mens Health text line. But Texter says, I believe if they continue to go on the upward trajectory and just win one more tournament game than they did last year, getting to the second weekend automatically is a success no matter how you look at it. I disagree. I think just making the Sweet 16 isn't automatically a success. Not when you're spending good money like this. I agree. Not when you just watched Iowa.
Weaknesses.
Not when you
hired new coaches.
Exactly. You just watched Iowa go to the Elite 8 with their coach in the first year. I'm sorry. We've been patient. We've been as understanding as we can be. This is year 3. You've had every opportunity to build your program into a contender. It's got to happen this year. Doesn't mean you have to make a Final Four for this not to be a success or for this not to be a failure. But just making the Sweet 16, I think you're kind of it's a little disrespectful to the program itself.
Let's say, let me turn this on its head a little bit. Let's say throughout the season, we have the complete opposite of what we did last year. Like, basically, anytime we played a major top 10 team, national, Final Four caliber team, you might not win, but it's super competitive. We win maybe half of those games. Louisville looks like a true competitor for a national championship, but they make it to a Sweet 16 and get upset. How do you feel then?
I'll bring this up. Let's look at the 2014 team. Do people talk about that team a lot?
No.
Why?
It's irrelevant.
When you talk about great Louisville teams in the past, people don't bring up that 2014. Why?
They didn't achieve. They didn't meet the expectations.
They lost in the Sweet 16 to a team that they shouldn't have lost to. At the end of the day, what people remember is the postseason success.
But we're not talking about memories here. We're talking about
that's what
being okay at that point.
No, but I'm using that to prove the point. That's what is the focus. If you're just really good in the regular season, but you can't raise the floor or the ceiling of your program in the postseason, I'm sorry, getting upset in the Sweet 16 isn't good enough for me. Again, it goes back to the ROI. You spent this money. You're not getting your ROI for the money you spent by losing in the Sweet 16 to a team you shouldn't lose to.
Sure.
So I think it's Elite 8. I really do. I think that at this point, it's Elite 8. It very well could have been the Elite 8 without even having seen the roster, because I said that they needed to build a contender. They get to the Elite 8, I think you're playing with house money. But that's just me. Now, let's say, for the sake of hypothetical here, let's say out of nowhere, Louisville were to add Milan Momcilovic. Does that change anything for you?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Okay.
I am firmly on the point that I do not care what this roster looks like. Like I said, it takes a lot to make a Final Four. I don't think any team in college basketball now should ever have Final Four or bust on their situation. I just don't. I think it's just shooting way too high.
I mean, I think that if
unless you have a championship team returning, right?
I think Illinois is 100% Final Four bust because they just made the Final Four, and they're bringing back a lot of that core.
Exactly. Those teams should be Final Four or bust teams. The show they did it, and you bring that core back, there's no reason not to do it now.
And just because you don't agree with Final Four or bust doesn't mean like you're trying to like lower expectations or not hold anybody accountable. I think it's just a matter of there's a difference between trying to hold someone accountable and just being unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because
and
four teams.
Bust is a word that gets thrown out there so much. Bust doesn't mean that you were like bad. It just means that it didn't meet the preseason expectations in this stage of the conversation.
Exactly. So, I mean, like Elite Eight, I think that's got to be your expectation because if you're like think about it, if you spent a good amount of money, but other teams also spent a good amount of money, like Sean Miller alluded to, and let's say you're a top 10 team, are you then expected to make to the Final Four if you're only a top 10 team then at that point?
I mean, I don't know.
It's
so hard.
I think we all agree that it shouldn't be Final Four bust.
I agree. I just think it's so hard to put those preseason expectations on teams nowadays. I think it's almost impossible, unless it's like a situation Roman's bringing up where you are, like Illinois, where you're returning most of that core that took you to where you were going. It's impossible to make like aspirations like that.
Exactly. Well, that is going to wrap up this week's edition of Mondays with Dalton Pence. We'll be right back with you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Go Cards.
Go Cards.